Good late morning, everybody. This is a late, this is a late hour Dow of the day. I think this is the first time I've ever come on at moving on 10 a.m. here in Central Time. There's a number of reasons for that. One, I had a dentist appointment this morning to extract a tooth, which I didn't do. The plan was not to do it, and I didn't. And so happy I am that I didn't, and my dentist appreciated our conversation, as did I. So that's great, and we are here now. Just gonna do a late Dow of the day today. Hopefully, open to those on the West Coast. I'm always missing all my folks in California because I start so early for them. But hopefully, this will be a Dow that they can visit and they can come up and join me for the Tao today. So yeah, we're just starting off, and Tao Te Ching is an ancient text that was written about 600 BCE. That was written about the same time, according to scholars, that the Old Testament was written. So it is considered an ancient text. And, it's interesting. Like, I've been talking about the Tao quite a bit, with others. And I've been studying the Tao, reading the Tao for, 2 decades now, here or there. And it's a text that embraces the feminine. So much of our world that we understand embraces the masculine, embraces the structure of so many things, and the Tao really embraces the feminine. And a lot of religion, a lot of traditional religion that we have in the world embraces the masculine as well, because religion, by definition, has a structure, and that structure, and all structure, at least as it is understood in the Tao, is masculine. But what is behind that is feminine. What you use is feminine, and so there is the void, and that is the ultimate feminine, and that is the Tao, and that is there's no hierarchy. In order to experience the Tao, you need religion. Hey, how's it going, Joseph?
I am one of your West Coast friends saying thank you for starting late.
Yes, absolutely. I didn't know you were on the West Coast, but I'm glad that yeah, I'm glad I could. I don't, waiting till 10 because I'm an early riser. So I've been up for 6 hours. And
Yowzer.
yeah, and so like it was nice that I had a 9 o'clock dentist appointment, because I was like, well, if I start at 8 or 7, I'm like struggling to like end it, but if I start at 10, then I can get all my West Coast folks.
That's
so
what I'm
so it
talking
was.
about, baby. Thank you. Thank you, Mr.
Yeah,
Dentist.
so
Or
I'm
Miss
glad I'm
Dentist.
glad I I'm glad I sat on my hands a bit, and then we're gonna hopefully get all my West Coast people, because I do know there's a number of people out there on the West Coast that appreciate it. So
Well, I represent that West Coast group that's saying, woot woot, start a little later.
yeah, start a little later. All right, so let's get into this. What number do you got for me today?
Before I get into a number, if you don't mind, I'd like to reflect a little bit on this male, female, masculine, feminine structure space thing that you've been talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah,
So I come from the Christian tradition, and
hmm,
as a child, the masculine, the structure part was emphasized a lot, and because they tell a lot of the stories from the Old Testament, which is
yeah,
more about that. But as I've grown and matured in my faith and understand the whole story of what the Bible is about, I've found that the New Testament, and Jesus in particular, really does intentionally embrace the feminine, embrace the space. It goes inward rather
yes,
than outward, and in fact is intentional about tearing down the walls of it all being about the structure. And in fact, the scriptures are very clearly say man looks on the outside, the structure, God looks at the heart. And
yes,
that's how he sees us, evaluates us, and why he loves us. And so I never thought of it until these last 2 days when I've listened to you about associating that with masculine and feminine. I'm really fascinated by that topic. But I think from the outside, on a limited perspective, I think Christianity unfortunately has reinforced the idea that it's all about the structure because they've concentrated on the Old Testament. They've missed the completion of the story, and I'm I'm in that space where I'm moving beyond that and embracing the whole, and the whole is mostly about the spaces in between.
It's interesting you mentioned that because, I look at Jesus as someone who has entered in, he was one of the first, him, Siddhartha, and others, like, were people who embraced, I mean, you talk about the heart, and the heart is a feminine brain, and the spirit brain is a
Right.
feminine brain, and we're moving into that. And Jesus welcomed the spirit brain, and this is a brain that is not just about relationship, but it is a brain that it has developed beyond structure,
Yeah.
or beyond logic, right?
Right.
So
Right.
so there was a lot of logic in what Jesus had spoken about, but there was also this sort of unfathomable faith in the way things are,
Yes. Yes. A
and
transcendence is the way I would describe that.
yeah.
Yeah.
And as the Tao talks about it, it's like in this, like, being at ease with the way things are right now. It is not bad that these things are happening. And I always look at Jesus as being able to help others heal by being able to, um like, accept to a degree. It wasn't about forgiving, like, maybe it is forgiving, but it's like accepting this moment as it is, and opening someone up to the healing that is possible.
Yeah, and the way I have experienced this, and the way I understand it, or my understanding, of course, is evolving, is that Jesus intentionally, in this, he had a very famous talk that's been called the Sermon on the Mount, but he takes the structure, which now I'm understanding is masculine because of the way you've helped me understand it, and he blows it up. He says, "You've heard it said, eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, and I say, love, forgive, bless your enemies, even those that persecute you." I mean, he takes all the masculine structure and he says, okay, that was helpful, but that's not the whole story. Let me
Right.
give you the whole story. And it just opens up your heart, your mind, your spirit to the, like as you said, the transcendent nature that's way beyond logic, right? There's even a verse that says, "The peace that passes understanding." It's beyond our
Yes.
ability to rationalize it or to academicize it, right? It's about that internal world, which, as we know, even at a molecular level, we're mostly space, right? Even
Right.
between the molecules, we're primarily space. The structure is just a tiny part of it.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to get a number in because we're
Yeah,
running. We're
yeah.
down to 9.5 minutes. So let's
Okay,
let's look at a number.
yeah. Give me number 13.
13. Off we go. Success is as dangerous as failure, and hope as hollow as fear. What does it mean that success is as dangerous as failure? Whether you go up the ladder or down it, your position is shaky. When you stand with your 2 feet on the ground, you will always keep your balance. What does it mean that hope is as hollow as fear? Hope and fear are both phantoms that arise from thinking of the self. When we don't see the self as self, what do we have to fear? See the world as yourself. Have faith in the way things are. Love the world as yourself, and then you can care for all things.
Mm.
Thoughts?
Wow, this is, it's always so deep. Where do you start?
That's right.
Oh man.
Well, we can start at the beginning. We can kind of go back. Like, let's
Sure,
start with
sure. Let's do that.
success is as dangerous as failure. Hope is as hollow as fear.
Yeah.
What are
So
your
first,
initial thoughts on that?
my first initial thought is, and this is something I've actually been contemplating, is that I think in many ways success is not just as dangerous as failure, but can be more dangerous. And
Yeah.
here's what I mean by that is success can can have the end result of arrogance. It can have the end result of complacency. Success, and quite often this is I mean, quite actually, this success is a definition, right? It's a concept in my head. What do I mean by success? Maybe
Correct.
completely different than what you do. But in general, I think success can have more negative impact on my life than failure, because from failure, I can learn, I can course correct, I can grow, I can change. Success often breeds this complacency that, I got it now, right? I don't need to change. I'm all right. And all high performance athletes, artists, business, whatever, they all embrace the failure as their opportunities to learn and grow. And And sometimes they'll even look for things that aren't even there so that they have a challenge rather than feeling like I've arrived.
Yeah. Yeah, I see it that way as well. Especially as it relates to, I did an interview with somebody that was, talking about school and advancement and success and all of these sorts of things. And we had this idea that, like, it's not whether you succeed or fail that matters, but whether you decide to continue to grow, whether either happen.
Yeah. Oh, very good. Yeah. Yeah,
And
that's
that's
really good.
the, as we move on, like these next two verses start with this, like, one addresses success and failure, and one addresses hope and fear. The one that addresses success and failure states, whether you go up the ladder or down it, your position is shaky. And as you were talking, it was interesting, your position being shaky could be like when you fail. If you have a shaky position, maybe you don't trust that you're learning, or maybe you don't trust or believe that you're going to get out of this situation. And so, like, you can get depressed. You have this shaky sort of experience. And then whether you're going up, like whether you're experiencing success, maybe you have that arrogance, but maybe you also have that, not FOMO, but that imposter syndrome. It's like, maybe I don't deserve this and it's going to get taken away from me. And then you have that as well that
Mm,
can come in.
yeah. Yeah. And so the picture in my mind as you're talking about this is the idea of failing forward. And
Yes.
I've heard this great illustration that walking alone is really a series of falling and catching your balance.
That's,
To move
yeah.
to move forward, you have to go off balance, begin to fall, and then catch yourself, and then do that over and over again. But it just doesn't feel that way, right? Because we,
Right.
in our minds, we don't interpret that as falling, but really you're failing forward, right? You're making progress by getting yourself off balance. And so really the shakiness is my perception. Is this uncertainty or the movement, do I interpret that as, oh no, what's going to happen next? I'm afraid of the outcome, or do I embrace that as this is momentum, and now I can catch myself and continue on in the journey of growth?
Yeah, and that's kind of what popped into my mind as well when I read that line. Your position is shaky, and so it's like, oh yeah, like, either way, like success or failure, you're doing this like falling out of balance a little bit, and you could always back it up with proof, like, look, I'm successful, but are you actually, like, feeling like an imposter? What's going on in there? And it just because of something that's happening on the outside doesn't mean that equates on the inside. And then this next line states, like, what does it mean that hope is as hollow as fear? Hope and fear are both phantoms. They arise out of thinking of the self. When we don't see the self as self, what do we have to fear?
Mm. This one's more challenging for me because for me, hope depends on what it is you're hoping for, right? So I think there can be an element of hope that isn't about me. It's about mm, maybe I'm wrestling with this. I don't actually know the answer, but
Yeah, like
this
the
is a
the
real
self.
challenge. Really a challenge.
I like this, and Catherine, who's in the queue, had really helped me with this, because she was just like, hope is nothing. Like, hope is like, I hope something happens. What are you going to do about it? Like, right? How are you going to meet that hope? How are you going to engage with that hope, so that that it's more than hope. Now you're adding to it. But there's this, I also look at, like, well, I hope everything goes well in the Ukraine.
Yeah, right.
In Ukraine. I got to stop saying the in front of Ukraine, so if everybody knows, like, that is uncouth. I'm correcting myself. But why do I hope that? What does it, like, there is something about me that is engaged with that. It is the idea that maybe I have to think this, or whatever. Like, if I can stop thinking of the self as the self, what do I have to fear? I don't have to fear that this thing won't happen. There is a, like, when I have hope, there, that is attached to a desire.
Sometimes it is. Again, this is definitions, but
Yeah, of course.
I think of the Hunger Games and the Snow guy, who's the evil lord over the whole thing.
I don't know anything
He
about the Hunger Games, so you're gonna
Oh,
just
the
have to
Hunger
fill
Games.
me in.
Okay, okay, so I can't summarize the Hunger Games very
Hmm.
quickly, but he says this line, and you'll catch on to this. Is he's he's a strong-armed leader over this country, and that they're separated into sections, and he's got a lot of command and control type of leadership, and he controls the population by fear, and then he tells his right hand person in this one poignant scene, the only thing stronger than fear is hope. And so this is a different kind of hope, right? This is
Yeah.
this innate sense, this deep-seated belief that there is a better future, right? And this is like a, I feel it's more
This
like
is like Viktor Frankl kind of stuff.
yeah, like a giant magnet, almost a, an omniscient magnet that pulls you towards a better future. Not like I wish things were better. That's what I think some people define hope as. Oh, I wish things were better in Ukraine. Well, that's not really hope. Hope is more like I believe things can be better, and I can be part of that.
Hmm. Yeah. That's nice. Yeah, I like that. This one always kind of like, like trips me up because it's always like
Right?
definitions of certain things and stuff. And
Yeah.
as this one wraps up, it says, "See the world as yourself. Have faith in the way things are. Love the world as yourself, and you can care for all things." And that's like that is like caring for your body, caring for your surroundings, caring for you. And if you can have faith in the fact that that is happening under the surface as well as in the conscious mind, that and that is happening all around you, then I think that there is a way that we can approach life without wanting it to be different.
Yeah, yeah, this is good. So to me, this is more like the difference between contentment and complacency. Contentment is this ability to accept things as they are, but complacency then says, well, I'm not going to do anything to make it better, or I'm not going to believe it's going to be better, or I won't have any hope that it's going to be better. And so I have to guard myself. I have to accept things as they are rather than wishing things were different or making judgments about why they are or why I am the way I am.
Yeah.
However, don't stop there. That's contentment. Complacency is to say, okay, I'm resigning myself.
Oh, we just yeah. Let's bring you on to close that out, and then we're gonna bring Energy Lady up, and then there's Catherine, Sharente, and Mina in line. So if you guys
Yeah.
can stick around, please do.
Just one last sentence,
Yeah.
just to complete that sentence. So the difference between contentment and complacency. Contentment is this acceptance of things as they are, and complacency says, well, I'm not going to do anything to make it different or better or change. I won't use that to propel me forward. And so
Yeah.
that's what it came to mind.
Yeah. And I like that, especially as it relates back to hope, as was understood previously.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you for
all
your
right,
time.
thank you again, and you have a wonderful weekend. I might catch you on Sunday, but this is the last hour of the day for the week.
Awesome. Bless you, brother.
Talk to you soon. All right, bringing Energy Lady on, and just saying we are only on wisdom today. There is no cross posting.
Well, good morning.
Good morning, dear. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm well. Went to the dentist this morning, and he agreed that I don't have to pull my tooth. So we are all in. We are all on the same page.
Yay, and you don't have the pain?
No, no pain. No,
Oh,
but no
that's.
pain, no gain. You know what they say.
I don't know. Did you gain?
No, I
That's a
gained
gain.
some
That's a
insight.
gain. It's hard to absorb.
Yeah, I gained an X-ray and some insight. So those things are good.
Yeah, and confirmation.
Yeah, confirmation.
That's
Yes.
always good. um, as you know, 21. I bet
21.
you
Yes,
know
I
because
got
I
your I
texted
got your
you.
text and wasn't able to respond to it, so I
No,
just
it's.
here I
I
am.
thought. No, I thought you had already gone on because it was later.
Oh no, yeah, today we're pushing it for the West Coast today.
I heard that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
A master stays focused on Tao, nothing else, just Tao. When you can't pin Tao down, you can't even. I'm going to start this all over again. A master stays focused on Tao, nothing else, just Tao. But you can't pin Tao down. You can't even see it. How are you supposed to focus on something like that? Like this. First, there's nothing. Then, the void is filled with images. Images lead to the creation of objects, and every object has Tao at its core. That's the way it's been ever since the world began. How can I be sure? I just know.
That's perfect for today.
Oh, good.
Not that I'm surprised.
Yeah,
Um,
that's, like,
no,
I'm getting sick of hearing that.
I know, right, right. No, I was in the shower, and all I kept hearing was 21, 21, and I'm like,
Yeah.
all right. And the reason, well, first of all, it's pulling on the full moon today, so
Hmm.
um, yeah, that's what the last couple days have been for me. I'm usually about 2 to 3 days. It starts whatever the moon is doing. I'm going with it. Except
This is
sometimes I forget. So
so today we start the waning of the full moon, and the final waning of the full moon I will be in my dark retreat. So this is the final part. This is the end of the
yes.
last moon cycle before that, and it's a really just kind of poignant.
No, that just gave me chills. That's
Yeah.
awesome. No, so and what I see and what I realize is that the reason why my system has been struggling is because the direction that I'm going in, I've not ever been.
Yeah.
So it was trying to pull me, because I generally have an idea. This one I don't have an idea, so it's exactly what it said. The Tao is I'm going in a direction of not knowing, which by the way I'm excited about.
Good. Yeah.
No, and the way I do it is when things come up, I'm unplugging because it was very specific on a couple people to unplug from.
Yeah.
And so I have, and I'm like, really? Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
Because, and so a lot of different things have come up. And when they come up and they don't have that inner feeling that I want, I just unplug again. And I'm like, okay, it's just not mine. It's not mine, wherever it's coming from. So,
And that's interesting as we start
mhm,
off this 21, right? A
mhm,
master stays focused on Tao, nothing
yep,
else, just
yep,
Tao. And
yep,
that Tao is within you, which we find out later with the line, and every object has Tao at its core.
yep.
Right. So having this sort of back and forth of like, like, oh, do I have to get rid of that? Yep. But it's like even even just kind of like being present with that means that
Oh,
you are
absolutely.
focused on that inner core.
And what I mean by unplugging is it's the joy that I do. I picture the plug plugged into a socket.
Hmm.
And so when I let the socket go, sometimes it has to spit around like, a balloon that is, going off.
Yeah.
But it always resonates within, as we will say here, within the Tao, within the source.
Hmm.
And so because I don't know, because I don't need to, but I don't have a visual, like a head visual. All I'm doing is saying, okay, well, here's the chord. Just tell me where you want to, just take it to where it needs to go. So yeah, focusing on the Tao is 100%
Yeah.
only. So it's
Yeah,
awesome.
nothing else, just Tao. And then there's this interesting, like, I like this Hogan translation because it's like more conversational. And it goes back and forth. And so it starts with, a master stays focused on the Tao, nothing else, just Tao. And then there's this line, but you can't pin Tao down. You can't even see
Exactly.
it.
Yeah.
How are you supposed to focus on something like that, right? And so now we're in the conversation of the mind, right? There is this Hogan translation goes back and forth between what we're actually like dealing with in the world, right? Because we have two sides of us. I always like to say we are 100% spiritually connected beings, and we are 100% separate physical beings. And here we come up with the physical line of, but you can't pin Tao down. You can't even see it. How are you supposed to focus on something like that? And that is the physical, where it's just like, give me something concrete.
Right. And the visual I have is I just look at a tree
Hmm.
and I remember, well, there it is.
Yeah.
I don't even need to look at myself because, our minds can confuse us. But if I look at a tree, I'm like, that's just what it is. I mean, how does it work? You know,
Yeah.
how does a tree do what it does? So yeah, and yeah, it's pretty basic. I love this. Keep going.
Yeah, and then it says, like, and then we go back into the spiritual mind, and it says, well, how do you do that? Well, you do it like this. First, there is nothing, right? And that nothing is actually very much something. That
Oh
nothing
yeah, it's the
is
not knowing, but the believing, the trusting.
right. And then it says, then the void is filled with images. So that nothing is the void. And the void is that ultimate feminine, that ultimate feminine of yielding, that space of like, go ahead, fill you want to fill me? Fill me with images, fill me with these ideas, fill me with content. That's fine. I will yield to all of those things.
You know that.
Image, go on.
No, I was gonna say the image that just came to me, which when I was working, because people love crystals, and I love crystals too. But people always ask me, "What's your favorite crystal?" And I said the quartz, and they said, "Why?" I said, "Because it has all the colors. I don't
Mm,
need to have a specific color. I don't. When I don't have to get into colors and all that stuff. All I do is take exactly what you just said. It's all. I'm just taking it all, but it's nothing. But it's all. But it's nothing."
yeah.
And I know what that is, but yeah, the quartz holds every single color. You can pull any of the rest of the modalities into just simply the quartz,
Mm.
and it's
That's beautiful.
beautiful. It
Yeah.
is. It's so simple and it's so powerful, and it's discounted because it's clear, opposed to the pinks and the purples. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. It was just something I played with and I found. So it wasn't.
Yeah.
This
And
is
that's,
not book
like, cause
written.
because that's this thing where it's like, the void is filled with images. And then here's the quartz as this masculine thing. And its clarity allows it to hold everything.
You know what? This, not you. This just defined everything I've been doing for the last 25 years with people.
Mm.
People ask me all the time, "How do you do this?" I just do. Well, how do you know? Because it's right there. What do you mean
Yeah.
by that? It's just right there. Well, can't you define it? No. Well, then I don't believe in you. All right.
No.
Because it's, how do I know? I don't know. Do I care? No. Because it's
Yeah.
it's it's always just like the way you are, and Catherine. We don't need to know that stuff. It's just there. It is what it is.
Right,
So
and images, and then we see because there's this. I love when the Tao does this. Like first, there's
mhm.
nothing, then the void, then the nothing is filled with images. Then images lead to the creation of objects,
Yep.
and every object has the Tao at its core. And so there's this masculine, feminine sort of creation. And I know that when I read this, I always think, well, images are masculine, and then the objects are masculine, so like where's the feminine there? Well, it's always the void, and then the space, then the void creates the space for structure creates creates separated space under which you create more structure, and that's where the objects come in, and then every object has the Tao at its core.
So in other words, nothing really matters. It's
Well, nothing
no,
can.
but it's always going to be there no matter what, because of
Right.
what you just created visual wise for me. That just means that it doesn't matter. Things are always going to be created.
Right. And they're always going to be created on they're always going to be created in space and in within that void, because there is something void, and which makes it possible for you to create that space. So one can't exist without the other. I mean, going back to, you know, what do you focus on? You focus on the Tao, you focus on the space, not
Okay,
on the
and
structure.
what you're doing for me, which you don't know,
Mhm, mhm.
is taking me from being the person who works on people and having that separate, because what you're describing is the way I found everything about what I do. I don't know how else to say it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
and
you
and the
focus on the space.
effectiveness.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I never thought of it that way because it was just there. And honestly, that's what it is. It's just there. You can't I can't define what it is. It's just there, but I'm pulling it outside into my world, everyday
Right.
world, every second world. So this is cool. All right.
So then we wrap this one up with, that's the way it's been ever since the world began.
Yep.
And you know, I'm not sure how I really, like, this is the, I look inside myself and see, how can I be sure? I just know. And like it, and that, tip of the hat to Catherine again, of just like,
Hmm.
I don't know. I just know.
Yeah. It's definitely when she talks like that, I'm like, that's what I've been saying for years to people. I
Yeah.
just know. And they're like, well, how do you know? I can't believe in you if you did. I don't care if you don't believe in me. I just know it's just there, but it's not like I know. I can't say no to what it is. It is simply what it is. And yeah, what this is asking me to do in my head awareness is stand out. Just say, for me, come out of that room and be. That's it. Because I don't have the formula of how everything's going to come together. Just like I never knew how I knew what I knew. It just didn't matter, by the way, because
Yeah.
it was
Formula,
never
formula.
wrong.
And the thing, it's interesting because I mean, I look at this. I look at this first. There's nothing. Then there's images, and there's objects, and I look at formula, and I'm like, where does formula come into play there? Right? Formula comes into play as an object. I think. It's like, oh, here's this concept. This concept is an object, and at the core of a formula is the Tao as well. Like the Tao is in there, allowing it to affect things, and there is purity in it. Not that there's like, it's interesting. I look at these things and try and kind of bring everything back because we created a formula to try and understand.
Right. And I believe that for me, the formula is to not have one.
Yeah, I think letting go of the formula is, but but I think it's important that we go through the process of creating a formula so that we can get beyond it.
Oh, absolutely. Because the formula is already created. And so what we get to do is, to me, enjoy the journey of finding the formula, but not really finding it, but finding it, and not really
Right.
finding it, but
And
finding
the
it.
Tao doesn't have a formula, but
No,
we do to try and explain it.
right. That's why we're here.
Because,
Is
yeah,
to me is to play in the world of life, play in
right,
it. And, the formula is meant to be enjoyable, which is something you share. It's meant to be enjoyable. When it's not enjoyable, then it's not a formula I want to be in anymore. That's all I
right.
got.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it's like I said, that's very funny.
Yeah, it's good. That's a good one. I can send this text off to you as well.
No, no, I'm good.
All right, well, we're good.
This is what I wanted. I just wanted to have a different version from what I can see.
Yeah.
And thinking you had already come in, so don't even.
Yeah.
If
Well,
you're good, well, no, that's fine. I'm
keeping
glad
it
you
up.
weren't.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, a little selfish on that end, but and I'm glad I could just be up here and give you a hug and say thanks again.
Sweet. Well, we'll talk again soon. All right, we're gonna bring Catherine in, my buddy, and then Mina's in line. Love that. Sorrente dropped off, but if she comes back on, we'll bring her in. My
15.
lovely 13,
15.
15. Because I was like, I think we did 13 today. 15. The ancient masters were pretty damn impressive. They were
Damn right
deep,
they were. Sorry. I'm gonna
real deep.
add like a rapper.
What's that?
I say I'm gonna add into it like we're doing some sort of song like damn right they were. Oh yeah.
They were deep, real deep. Words can't even begin to describe how deep they were. You can only talk about what they were like. They were careful, like a man walking on thin ice. Ugh, men do that a lot, especially if they're in a relationship. They were they were they, they were
Right, their own
cautious.
creation.
They were cautious, like a soldier behind enemy lines. They were polite, like a guest at a party. They moved quickly, like melting ice. They were as plain as a block of wood. Their minds were as wide as a valley, and their hearts were as clear as spring water. Can you wait for that kind of openness and clarity before you try to understand the world? Can you stay still until events have unfolded before you do the right thing? When you act without expectations, you can accomplish great things.
I think this one channeled me.
It channeled you.
Yeah. Isn't this what I
Wow.
talk about all the time?
It's always spouting off about this stuff.
I love it. I love
Yeah.
it. The openness, because that's, that's the thing, is you're constantly getting back into being open.
And I love this last question it asks, because this is the question that you're always asking in different words, of course, in your podcast and stuff. But can you be still until events have unfolded before you do the right thing?
I
Like,
know.
and this is,
I love
moving with
it.
grace and moving with, like intention and grace and all of these things. And yeah. So as we start this one, it's just like the ancient masters were pretty damn impressive. And this is the Hogan translation, and I really like the sort of rough around the edges sort of approach of back and forth kind of banter that it carries. They were deep,
Pretty
real deep.
darn
Words can't.
impressive.
What's that?
Pretty darn impressive.
Pretty darn. Yes, darn. Sorry, I know. Yeah, I. It does say damn, but we can say darn.
We can say
the,
damn.
the the ancient masters were pretty darn impressive. They were deep, real deep. Words can't even begin to describe how deep they were. You can only talk about what they looked like, what they were like. And I think it's the other one that it's the Mitchell version that talked about their images. But like this is interesting because like if we talk about intuition, if we switch the ancient masters out for intuition, this is in your kind of words, like intuition is pretty damn impressive. It's deep, real deep. Words can't even begin to describe how deep it is. You can only talk about what it's like.
Well, and that's even hard, isn't it?
Yeah, because I mean, and you're doing that all the time, and congratulations on your top 25
Oh, thank you.
your
Who
podcast.
knew?
Well, I knew.
Sometimes you just keep going and don't bother looking at anything, and then someone goes, "Hey, by the way, good work. Thanks."
Good work. Hey, here's a pat on the back.
That's right. Thank you.
Man, that's so nice. Yes, so congratulations on that. And in speaking of intuition, like you attempt to talk about it all the time, and how does that challenge you? Like in these in this thing, like words can't even describe how deep it is. You can only talk about what it's like, and like that's got to
That,
be a
no, actually, as you're saying that, what that makes me think of
challenge.
is the words that we use to describe the same thing. So I was out to dinner with a friend the other night, and he was teasing me a little bit about, so
Whoa.
you got this intuition thing for your podcast, like, is that a big deal for podcasting? I'm like, well, it is to me, so that's what counts. And
Right.
then he's like, so this whole intuition thing, what is that? And so, so that's just when it comes to and he goes, so I was giving a speech yesterday, and didn't have time to super prepare. And I got insight of just like what to say. And then I just all came together. I'm like, yep, that's intuition. He
Yeah.
goes, but what is intuition? And I'm like, it's apparently insight to you.
Yeah.
And that's that's what I try to make really clear to people, is that when we pick a word to describe how we feel, it's my same frustration when people say, you say, I just feel stressed out. Is it stressed out or is it anxiety? I'm describing how I feel and I've attached a word to it. I don't need to be in your vocabulary. That's how
Right.
I feel about intuition.
Mm-hmm.
If your word to describe the information flowing to you, or an idea popping in, or an image, or whatever that moves you forward to take action, is nudge, insight, instinct, you know, great idea, innovation, whatever word you use for describing intuition, that's fine. Use that.
Right.
But as
And
long
I
as we,
say that all the time too.
yeah, as long as we can get to a place where we realize we actually are talking about the same thing, we're just using different words.
Yeah.
And
I
I think,
always say, like, don't let words get in the way of a good conversation. Cause
well, yeah,
like,
not only that, but intuition is, like this says, hard to describe. And so if
right.
you've been able to recognize it by calling it insight, and then we start saying, nope, you have to call it intuition now, you're now thinking about having to switch the word instead of being in the moment of how intuition comes through to you. And so the goal is not to mess that up with words.
Right. Yeah. We just want we want you to move into in we want you to move in a direction towards that which you call,
Whatever you,
insight, whatever it is. Yeah.
yeah,
You know, and
potato, potato.
then we go into this, this group of ways of understanding. They were careful, like a man walking over thin ice. They were cautious, like a soldier behind enemy lines. Polite as a guest as a party. Quick, they move quick, like melting ice. They were plain as a block of wood. Their minds were as wide as a valley, and their hearts were as clear as spring water.
Mm,
And
yeah.
we look at that, and that is, there's all of these different, like, careful, cautious, polite, quick, plain, open. These are all different ways of kind of looking at how we approach things.
Well, it's interesting. I really get from that is so much about recognizing when you're not in your intuitive state of,
Yeah,
when being aware, being alert, being careful not to let fear pretend to be intuition. That's when people say
that's
bad directions.
that's beautifully kind of put. Like, when you, just like with your buddy that you went out to dinner with, right?
Hmm.
Like, he didn't have time to prepare, but he was still cautious, careful,
Hmm.
polite,
Yeah.
quick to come up with things, and he
Mhm.
and he didn't try and over exaggerate it. He was plain,
Yep.
and then he just opened himself up and spoke.
Of course, I did mention before he went, just, you already know what to say. Just let your intuition come through. So I did give him a little hand ahead of time.
Well, you are an energetic ball. So yeah, but this is a beautiful thing. Like, as you put, like, this is how you know that you are able to be in the space of the Tao, because you're being careful, not overly so, but you're being careful,
Mm,
and you're aware of what's going on around you. You're being cautious, once again, not overly so, but you do know that like he knew that he was going into this talk without being prepared. That's okay, because you're moving forward into this, but understand that you also want to be cautious under these circumstances.
well, it's not really about, I don't know that it's being cautious. I go
Okay.
back to that river of, so you're in flow, you're in the river, you're relaxed, you're calm, but also, you're not gonna like go in there with a bunch of sharp objects and pop the, you
Right.
know, thing. You're not, you probably don't want to stand
I
up and,
didn't I didn't think there was anything to pop, but we're on a raft now that is that
right.
is filled
And
with air.
that's what I
Okay.
assume that
I was
raft,
like
because
I was
the
thinking
waters
sharp
get a little rough,
objects.
and you're going to
Yeah.
go down a waterfall one or two times at least.
Yeah.
So probably in a raft at some point. But you need to be alert and aware for when the water's changing, and when there might be boulders in the way, because this is a normal river. All rivers have all of these different areas when the water might be too shallow, all of these things. So you can be relaxed and chill, but
Yeah.
listen carefully.
Yeah.
Look with your eyes, notice things. And it's not about being afraid, careful, cautious. It's
Yeah,
about
no,
being
I don't mean it that way, but I
awareness. I know
understand.
you didn't, but
Yeah. I'm
I just
glad you
know how
cleared
those
that
words
up.
can land on some people at the
Yeah.
at a moment of vulnerability, that those words can shift into meaning something else. And
Yeah,
so
especially like when we use words like these, careful,
right,
cautious, polite, right?
right,
Being polite doesn't mean being a doormat,
right, right. I
being
just thought
polite.
I'd cover that just because we're
Yeah. Yeah,
um
yeah. And I'm really glad you did.
but
Yeah.
it is about just being like, even the soldier that they describe, soldiers in there, they're listening carefully, they're paying attention, they're aware of their surroundings. They're not going in themselves, because that's not what they can, not what they're supposed to do. That's not what they're trained to do. And that's not the best for their own survival. Being
Right.
aware of what's happening around them, not in a fear state, because if your rabbit goes by, they're going to like shoot the rabbit or freak out. But
Right. Yeah.
in that calm, alert, aware state. I love
Yeah.
the descriptions. Although I'm a little confused by the wood, because I don't really see wood as plain,
Hmm. Okay.
but I'm just saying.
I mean, I don't know what like wood is as I kind of feel like if you have a block of wood that could be turned into anything, and like, but until it is something, it's just a block of wood. It's a plain block of wood.
Okay, I feel good about that. Yep.
That's how I
I'm
see
with
that.
you. I've gotten in the
Can
boat with you on the river.
Yeah. Can and then then here come the big Catherine questions. Can you wait for that kind of openness and clarity before you try to understand the world? I like that, before you try to understand the world.
Yes.
Like, what a beautiful way of putting it, right? Like, can you wait for that
Yeah.
kind of openness before you try to understand the world? Because I think we try to understand the world well before any of those things exist within our bodies.
And then we're frustrated, and that nothing's happening.
Right.
I'm trying so hard. Maybe if
Yeah.
you stop trying, then you'd be fine.
Yeah, maybe you just stopped altogether. Like, just stopped and
Just
and
stop.
sat here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or just shift yourself in some way, and give that space. But the trying, it's like, okay, that's just making me tired. I want a nap now. you know
Right. And then the second of these two questions, can you stay still until events have unfolded before you do the right thing? And that one, like, I like it ends like, I'm not as happy with this only because it's like, can you stay still until events have unfolded before you do the right thing? Thoughts? Like, it's that before you do the right thing.
Yeah, it's not before you. To me, that's before you act upon. So it's
That's
basically,
yeah.
this last part is describing what like the four steps of being open.
Right.
Knowing that the information will come, knowing that the what you're supposed to act upon is going to show up no matter what. Period. End of sentence. But you're going to have to be open for it.
And
You
I
know.
think the thing that you do will be right, but it's not the right thing, right? Like,
Right.
and I think that puts it in this sort of judgment space of
Yeah.
like, and that's the thing that kind of doesn't land for me.
Yeah, I can see that. I can definitely see that.
Yeah.
So we let's just change the words. You just to scratch it out with a pen
Yeah. Yeah.
and change it, because it is about this and I think that's where that end piece comes to that question of like, does it ever send me the wrong way? And no, but it's about knowing the difference between your intuition and fear or overthinking something.
Yeah. And you're
Keep
about to
it
drop, but I want to finish this. And I
small.
want to reread this really quick. Can you stay still until events have unfolded before you do the thing? Right? I like that. Before you do the thing, whatever it is that you do, before you do the thing, can you wait until things have unfolded? When you act without expectation, you can accomplish great things. You, me, Catherine, and Mina, who's up next, and then Sharente. Thank you guys for being so patient. Um, and Sharente, if you needed to step away, you will keep your place in line, of course. Mina, how are
Hi,
you, dear?
hi, Martin John. How are you? I'm feeling
I'm very
great.
well. I'm wonderful. I heard you talking with Christina earlier about forgiveness. I thought that was beautiful.
Thank you. Yes, it's aligned with me when people talk about forgiveness. So it's feeling good today. I have some time today for wisdom. So I just
I am
want to.
glad to
Oh,
hear that. I'm glad you have some time for me as well. Let's you and I dive into the Tao, and we're gonna go back to the Stephen Mitchell for you because we've only talked a couple times.
yeah, yeah. I love the Tao Te Ching. I have a copy actually from translation from George Johnston.
Johnston,
Yes, I don't
let
know
me see.
if it's good. I got I haven't finished reading it because I have it as a gift. So I'm going to learn more from you for, of your version of what version were you having last time that you told me? I forgot about that.
Stephen
Yeah,
Mitchell. I don't see
Stephen Mitchell.
Johnston
Yes,
on my list. That's interesting. Oh, I got Jonathan Starr.
it's
I don't
George
know.
Johnston.
George Johnston?
No, Charles. Charles.
Charles?
Charles.
I got a Charles Muller. That was it.
Yeah,
It's the
I
only
got it.
Charles I have.
Yeah, it has kind of
Charles Q. Wu as well from 2013. But I'm going to be reading Stephen Mitchell, so we'll go into Stephen Mitchell, and if you have your Tao with you, maybe you can show me where the differences.
no problem at all. So we can do it. Yeah, I want to start from the end.
81.
Yes, yes, sir.
81 is a beautiful verse. So I will read the Stephen Mitchell, and then I would
Hmm.
love for you to read yours if you would.
No problem.
All
I'll
right.
do
So
that.
81 is true words aren't eloquent, eloquent words aren't true. Wise men don't need to prove their point, and men who need to prove their point aren't wise. The master has no possessions. The more he does for others, the happier he is. The more he gives to others, the wealthier he is. The Tao nourishes by not forcing, by not dominating. The master leads.
Hmm, beautiful. Yes, there is a coincidence, a similarity, I mean, with this translation here. You want to hear it?
Yes, please.
Okay. Honest words are not ornate. Ornate words are not honest.
Mm.
The man of worth is not glib of speech. Okay, I don't have my glasses
Glib of
here.
speech.
Let me just
Yeah, yeah.
hold it a
Yep.
little bit further from my eyes. Okay. The glib of speech is not a man of worth.
Mm.
He who knows the way is not erudite. He
Erudite.
erudite. Okay, thank you.
Erudite. Yep.
He who is erudite knows not the way. The saint lays not up treasure. The more he, the more he spend himself for man, the greater grow his power. The more he gives to men, the richer he becomes.
Mhm.
Such is the way of heaven, which lavishes blessings on all beings and harms none. Such is the way of the saint who toils yet without contention. That's it.
Mm. That's interesting. Like, yes, this is like yours has like so erudite means having or showing great knowledge,
Mm-hmm.
or learning, and so someone who is who's kind of putting themselves as if they have a lot of knowledge. Um, I'm very familiar with this with the Mitchell version, so we're going to go through the Mitchell. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts about this verse initially?
I think the message in here is um, the person who show that he knows everything means that he doesn't know anything.
Yes, yes.
And when you are humble and you listen and you learn from others, that is where honesty, genuinely inside of you, authenticity from inside of you will show out.
Yes. And you will be able to inspire others because of that.
Exactly.
And I think that is, in a nutshell, what this 81 is all about. And this is a beautiful way to end the Tao, because this is about, hey, look, go out in the world and give by being able to receive, and give by being present. And I
Mm-hmm.
think this is a beautiful way of ending the Tao. And even
Yes.
though, like, if we were to imagine that we read this whole thing, at the end of this, and throughout the entire time we were reading it, we're sitting here going, oh man, this thing says this, and it says this, and it says all of these things. And then the last verse of the Tao says, true words aren't eloquent. Eloquent words aren't true. And
Mm-hmm.
you've just read 80 verses of beautifully constructed words that, and eloquent, in the Mitchell version, he uses the word eloquent. And eloquent is to persuade.
Mm-hmm.
And what is the first two lines of your version?
Honest words are not ornate. Ornate words are not honest. The
Yes.
man
So
of worth is,
honest words
yeah,
are not, like, they're not flowery.
yeah.
Words that are honest are, like, can land very plain,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not going to excite people. If
It's
you're
the
running
truth.
through getting excited about stuff, well, maybe those words aren't honest.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's I think it's referred to somebody who is glorified you but not feeling it.
Yeah,
So it's just an ornament around his words, and if you are aligned with that, then it's kind of the outside. It's not the inside.
that's right. That's right. And when you get, like, put your attention toward the fruit, not the flower, it's
Mm-hmm.
like there is substance there. There is something deeper in there. There is calories. There is nutrition. There's all of this stuff. And the flower looks beautiful, but it is the patience that one kind of can, to be still in the moment,
Mm-hmm.
and allow the plainness of this moment to wash over us, without it having to be like we're at a parade, without having to be, lavished with true, like, with words of praise, or with, ornate design or beauty. It's like,
Exactly.
we are
Yeah.
here. And, there's a verse of the Tao that says, colors blind the eye.
Mm-hmm.
If everything in the world was black and white, would you still honor the things and love the things that you love today? Would the beauty still be there for you? Because the substance is still there, but the color is gone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's the inside that counts. It's not the outside.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. The outside is the perception, and I just love the last sentences here. I don't remember yours, but mine is kind of the more he gives to man, the richer he becomes. I just love that one. It's a remind me of a Zig Ziglar phrase
Mm,
about if you want to be successful, or if you want to have what you want in life, help enough people to get what they want, and then you can get what you want in life. I think it's similar to that phrase here. It's when you give, you will receive more.
yeah, here in this translation, it's almost exactly the same. The master has no possessions. The more he does for others, the happier he is. The more he gives to others, the wealthier he is. And,
Mm-hmm.
when we talk about this verse, and I've spoken about this verse a number of times, obviously, you know, the master has no possessions. And that doesn't mean just physical possessions, right? We were already talking about words.
Mm-hmm.
And then we said the wise, and then in this verse, it says wise men don't need to prove their point. Men who need to prove their point aren't wise.
Mm-hmm.
And then we move into that line, the master has no possessions. One of the possessions that some men can carry is a point.
Mm-hmm.
and
Exactly.
and a message. But if you have no possessions, if you have no message, then you can be present for others and you can do for them and you can give to them your space, right? You can give to them, you can yield attention, and you can offer them insight to all that the universe has to offer, because you are not honed in on one singular thing, like, oh, look at this beautiful flower. But then we already talked, if you move it to black and white, do you still see the beauty?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love the way that you said you give them their space, but at the same time you hold your space and
Hmm.
you give them their space to
That's
express.
right.
And
Because
that
you have no possessions, so it's not even like your space. It's like
yeah,
you're able to let go of that.
exactly. And that can go deep down into perception, and I just love the word perception because
Yeah,
it comes from the our paradigm, our program, right? And whatever we perceive with our five senses is according to what we have programmed inside of us, and we translate it into the language that we can understand, and we can express it to our environment. So if we have the tendency to express ourselves um, with the perception that we have in our program, then what I can perceive is true can be false for you, and what I perceive as false can be true for you.
that's right.
And that is the space of each one of us that we have to respect ourselves first and the other person also.
Yes, yeah. And that's what I talk about in terms of mutuality. I also say, like, what I say and what you hear have nothing to do with one another, because
Mm-hmm.
what I say is coming from my perception and what you hear is going to your perception.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes.
we can't ever really communicate completely. We can only communicate through these assumptions of perception.
Mm-hmm. Yes, exactly. Yeah. And the minutes that you are conscious about the perception of each one of the people who you are interacting with, and you respect that, that is unconditional love, right?
Yes, I agree. I agree. And that is in my parlance, that space of recovering yourself, because as long as you are aware that your perception is not theirs,
Mm-hmm.
then you can love them. And that's what we
Exactly.
have here at the last line of this 81. The last line of the Tao. The Tao nourishes by not forcing,
Mm-hmm.
by not dominating. The master leads. And
Yes.
you don't have to force somebody to believe your way of thinking. You don't
Totally
have to
agree.
force them to understand you. And
Yeah.
by not forcing that, by not trying to dominate that, you get to guide them into understanding who they are
Mm-hmm.
without you dictating who you are or who they are supposed to be, which so much of our world is filled with today.
Yes, and we have a tendency to to force people to agree with us, but they don't have to, right?
That's right.
You just let them where they are because their vibration is where they are right now. When they'll be ready, they absorb your thinking, your perception, and they move on with that. And if they're not ready, that's okay. Just leave them there.
That's right.
This
And
is
because
wonderful, Martin John, today. Our discussion, I just love it.
yes, the Tao brings up the best in everybody, but in me definitely.
Yeah, you're a great person. Thank you for holding the space for us and continue your work. I just love it. Whenever I have time, I just hop on and share with you. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Mina. Oh, what a great Sharente, patient Sharente, and your mom is in line behind you. So we'll get to her in a moment. Sharente, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, Martin John. Why you been doing it? I've been cooking in the kitchen, so it's all good. It's
What are
all
you
good.
cooking, girl?
First it was my normal breakfast, so eggs and our sausage, and right now I'm making collard greens in a new way. My mom would
How?
probably say this is a very disrespectful way, but I'm trying it
Whoa.
out.
So talk to me about, so collards are one of my, like, so in my diet, greens are on every plate that I eat. So how are you preparing them?
So they said for the quick recipe to saute them in some oil, a little bit of oil, and then put some salt on that, brown it up a little bit, and then put garlic and then red flakes on top of that. It's
Okay.
actually good. I had
And
to put
how,
seasoning
what is your,
salt.
is your traditional, like, boil the hell out of it? Is that what your
I think
tradition?
it is, but I don't know how to make collards because I didn't pay attention when my mom made them.
So okay, so Lois is coming on after you, and we're gonna force her to hear us talk about collards without being able to speak about them.
Oh yeah, because I also started cooking the beans too because I soaked those overnight and some baking soda to make sure I ain't going to be gassy. But I
Mm,
also have my beans, and when I did asparagus on the plate yesterday, my husband's like, "Sharente, greens in the morning," and I was like, "Yes, greens in
yes,
the morning.
greens,
We can't
greens,
just have all
greens.
protein."
That's right, greens. Like, oh man, like so I'm a fan of all greens. So collard greens, mustard greens, turnip greens, all that stuff. Like, love it all, love it all. And I think I have about a pound of collard greens, and every breakfast I have, I cook all my greens kind of the same way, and that is in lard, with probably usually with some sort of a protein, some sort of a, and maybe some, I have some broccoli or cauliflower on the side and stuff.
That
So
sounds so
that
good.
is, yeah, and that's how I cook my greens. I do not boil my greens. I do know, there's a lot of, like, you boil greens and then you cook them in lard. I
Oh
don't
yeah, and
boil
I
them
will
first.
say I like making the easiest one to make is cabbage because you put a little bit of water or a little bit of beef broth or chicken broth at the very bottom, and you just
Mhm.
steam those suckers. That's it.
Yeah, I cook everything in lard. That's just what I do. Like, I was just like, I'll cook it down in some lard, and then I might put some broth or something in it.
That makes sense, but
But
that's how I'm cooking it right now. So as I said, I've been cooking this entire time.
all right.
I
Well,
have to
I'm
pick a
glad.
number. So
Yeah.
let me here you go. What version are you going to be in so I can turn with
Yeah.
you?
I'm gonna lean on Hogan for you, and you and your mom.
Hogan. Okay, with Hogan, and I'm going to choose number 66.
66. Off we go. An ocean is greater than the 100 rivers that flow into it, and all it does is wait to receive what they bring. I think you and I read this before. I'm not
We
sure.
might have. I don't know.
If you want to teach people, don't talk down to them. If you want to lead them, find out where they want to go. People love leaders who make them feel safe without smothering them. They'll always support a leader like that. And because he doesn't try to compete with anybody, nobody else can compete with him.
I like that, and I actually am looking at it myself too to make sure I didn't miss all the words in your poetic way you say it.
Yeah.
Yay! And the ocean is greater than the 100 rivers that flow into it. The thing is that the ocean is a very vast, vast place, and I love going to the ocean, not the lake, but the ocean, because in Vegas they're like, well, we can go to the beach, and I was like, there's no beach in Las Vegas. There is a river,
Mm.
and there is a man-made lake. There is no beach.
There is a
Okay, there's a
desert. Like,
difference.
there's no, yeah. I mean, I'm in Chicago. We have a motherfucking lake. We got a lake that you cannot see the other side of. It-
That's
but
pretty gnarly.
yeah, it's like, people come here and they're like, "Wait, that's an ocean." I was just like, "No, no, no. It's
It's
just
a
a lake."
lake. It's just a really big lake.
Yeah, it's just a big motherfucking lake.
Okay,
Um,
so an ocean is greater than 100 that flows into it. The thing is that there are, if girl, this is where geography escapes me. There's four major large bodies of water: Atlantic, Pacific, um, Indian, or is it just three? This is me being a goofy
oh,
goober.
the major seas. Well,
Yeah,
the
the major
Mediterranean
seas.
Sea is there is, there is the Arctic Ocean,
Okay.
So yeah, I think yeah, there's quite a few. I think that, like there are some major seaways. I
See,
don't know
this
if
is why
it's
I was like,
seven. I
I
think
don't
there's like
know.
nine continents and seven oceans, seven major seas.
Okay.
I think that's what
This
it
is
is.
why
But
like geography escapes me, but my thing is that the ocean covers the majority of the world.
the
Like water is the majority part of you. Exact same concept.
hmm
So my thing is that what I get from this is the ocean is greater. And when you're thinking about an ocean, the ocean is a lot more calmer than rivers are. A lot more calmer, at least on the top surface, not the bottom, but the top surface. It's a lot more calmer, especially depending on what season it is in. I have been next to rivers and they're generally flowing, but hard flowing, not a soft and gentle flow that I personally have noticed with the ocean. And it's just a different magnetic pull that I feel. And it says, and all it does is wait to receive what they bring. Like I said, it just flows, and that's where I
well,
leave
yeah,
that.
and that's the thing. It doesn't like the it's interesting. The ocean doesn't flow. Right. I mean, there are, like there is the the streams and things, but the ocean is, and and that is when we look at this, like this idea of the ocean, everything flows to the ocean because it's lower, right? It's more humble.
Because
So
the
it's
ocean is being.
yeah, the ocean is being where the river flows. The river moves. The river is doing, and the ocean is being, and
Okay.
all it does is wait. And that's the big difference, right? Like there's like, are you rushing about, and then like you change, like depending on the riverbed and depending on the depth and depending on like what's happening in this moment, or are you still, just like you said, like the ocean can be more still than a river, and it can be, and it can, like especially on the shores, get fucking torrential. But either way, um it is this humbleness that it presents, and in its humbleness things get brought to it. It's not trying to be above anything, because the higher it gets, the more it has to fall, just like the river. And in order to fall, it has to go through so many different landscapes. It has to go through rocky shallows, and that's when it's like, rolling and gurgling everywhere. And it's got to go through, deep crevasses where it's like it's moving almost imperceptibly forward, but it's still moving, bringing all of its self to unload all of that on the ocean, or in the ocean, in that which is lower than it, that which is more humble.
So what I can interpret from that and what you're saying is that it's in a state of being, and everything flows into that state of being.
Yes.
Okay, I like that. Okay, and it says, if you want to teach people, don't talk down to them. Okay, that's kind of self-explanatory because no one likes the superiority complex. No one likes being talked down to. No one likes to be around someone that's always argumentative. That it's not cultivating good conversation, which is not just surface level. Oh, how are you doing? Well, I'm doing good. That's the entire conversation.
Yeah.
No, just no.
Talking down to someone, like, could look a whole lot of ways too. It doesn't have to just be like being rude. It could be just like being in a space where you don't believe in that person. I mean, I'm coming out of addiction and all that, and so like there are times when like you want to get clean, you want to get sober and stuff, and people like, they're like, all right, well, like let's see how long that lasts. Little things like that could be
Oh,
talking down.
I
but
got
it
you.
but it could also be just kind of like, oh yeah, well, yeah, I good luck, and there's no real belief in there. Like that energy could very well also just be talking down to somebody.
I got you, and I care, and I can feel that, and I respect that, and I know for me, I used to accidentally talk down to people and not realize it, and I had to, for myself, learn that everything that I say has to be with love, because if they don't hear anything else, they can't hear the love. I know I did it in love, and I was
Right.
talking and speaking in love, and if they felt like I was saying something completely above them, where I was talking down to them, that was their perception, not mine.
Right, right,
because
right.
that's not where it was. But I will say my apologies because that was never my intention.
Well, it's always good to know, and maybe you don't have to apologize. You can just be like, "Oh, well, how did you hear that?" "Oh, well, I that's not how I intended." And one doesn't necessarily have to go to the point of being like, "I'm sorry," but you
Oh no, I'm
can
not
at
saying I'm
least
sorry.
acknowledge that,
I'm just saying my apologies. That when the reason I
yes,
say that is to clear the air, period. And I
right,
don't mind throwing out my apology because it doesn't hurt me whatsoever to say it. I'm sorry says I had the intention to hurt you.
right, right, right. I hear
That's a
I
little bit
hear that.
different.
Yeah.
But I got you. Um,
And then if you want to lead the people, you got to find out where they want to go. Like that's straight up like so many people want to lead people, especially here in the marketing entrepreneurial spaces, where we want to help people go where we think they want to go. We don't actually ask them first. We just say, "Oh, we're gonna deal with this," and
that's
we all
not
have
what you
limiting beliefs.
do.
What's that?
Like I said, that's not what you do. Like for me and how I'm building all my stuff is I will lead helping you with your success for what your dreams are. Not my dreams for you, but what are your dreams. And some people have quieted their voice down so much that it takes them a while to recall what their dreams were in the first place.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just to be a husband. And I'm like, okay, then you can just be a husband. If that is your dream, then that's your dream. And I am not going to be mad at you for it.
Dream until your dreams come true. It's just
Hmm.
like I got that song in my head now. People love leaders who make them feel safe without smothering them.
I'm just gonna say that's big facts. I will say my manager, I love her. She lets me live my best life. We meet like once a week, but she lets me live my best life. She'll check in on me. Like yesterday, she checked on me. She's like, "How you doing?" and stuff like that because we haven't really been in meetings together. And I'm like, "I'm doing straight." And then I told her all the little insights and things that I learned and stuff like that. And she's like, "Oh, that's so dope." And I'm gonna get to see her again today, but she doesn't she doesn't really oversee, if that makes any sense. I will say
Hmm.
that some people can call micromanaging. She doesn't do that.
She
she
trusts you.
she trusts, and the thing is, she said trust is not given, trust is earned, because I was having issues trusting her at the very beginning of it, and it wasn't intentional. It was just I have had some bad actors as managers that I'm
Yeah,
like I was skeptical of everybody. I'm like okay, and I had to get to the state of just allowing me to be me, and she allows me to be me and allows me to flex my mind in different ways that I want to. So now I'm covering more than what they originally signed me on for the fact that I like being able to learn about different things all the time, and she saw that in me. And she doesn't smother me or anything like that. She just cultivates what's already there. Um,
yeah.
they'll
And
always
just
support.
like you're
Go
saying,
ahead.
like people will always support a leader like that because your manager is not trying to compete with anybody. Nobody's able to compete with her, and like that's how this like wraps up, right? People love leaders who make them feel safe, and if you as a leader make people feel safe and make people trust, and you don't smother them, you don't micromanage, you'll always you'll always be supported. Just like you're here on Wisdom supporting your manager, and like wow, like in such a beautiful way.
I appreciate her. I even appreciate the ones that were more of a smothering because they still fostered me to be the badass I am today. Like, I just still appreciate them because they had to show me the contrast of what it
Right.
feels like to be smothered versus what it feels like not to be.
Yeah.
And then you, Hero, because I'm gonna be like you. They'll always support a leader like that, and because he doesn't try to compete with anyone, no one is going to compete with him. And I will say this: all my managers, there's no hero for all the ones that I've had in my life. There's no comparison. They're just the best that they were at the time, and I needed them in that whatever they were. I just needed them to be exactly what they were, so that I can learn from it for myself in regards to how I personally want to lead. So I had
Right.
to have the more of the authoritarian. I had to have the more of the dictator approach. I had to have more of the you can do no wrong, da 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 da, and always hyping me up. I've had to have these different leaders so I can see what type of leader I want it to be because I was able to feel the feeling, and now I know how I want other people to feel from my presence, and now it's starting to happen in droves, and I'm very thankful that, like I said, I had the managers that weren't, I will say, the 100% top tier, but to me, they were, for the fact that I am who I am today. So
That
thank you, Martin Job.
it contributed to who Sharente is. Thank you so much for joining me. Absolutely, anytime. We're bringing Lois on, and we're gonna learn a little bit about collard greens.
Too fucking funny. Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay, I've had sauteed collard greens before, Sharente. Thank you very much. Okay. I just don't like to put a lot of oil in crap. I just don't. I'm
Oh,
not into fat. I'm not into grease.
yeah.
I'm not into
I
oil
I
like that.
I have to because I don't eat any grains or legumes
Hmm.
or beans or
Oh no, this ain't no judgment, baby boy.
yeah,
Because
no,
I
I
understand.
so
I understand that everybody's
that's
body.
where I get my calories. So I cook that shit in lard and it is so good.
But the
Oh
whole thing
snap.
is, you know what? Lard is also better for you than some of that shit they got in there talking about
Oh, the
the
canola
canola
oil and all of
oil
that.
and all that other
Mm,
stuff. Now, all your vegetable, your real oils, olive oil, grapeseed oil, coconut oil, all that's good for you. But
yeah.
that canola oil and that
That kill
vegetable
you.
oil and corn oil, do you
Mm-hmm.
know how much corn you have to squeeze to get oil from it? You get more sugar from it than oil,
Mm-hmm.
and it's all genetically modified. So all of that
That's
other
right.
shit ain't no good. So my thing is,
I ain't
I don't
touched
have no
that.
problem with olive oil sauteed greens, and I don't have no problem with putting lard in something, but I don't,
Mm-mm.
because my thing is keeping my cholesterol numbers balanced, and I
Oh yeah.
eat enough of other stuff that add to that number, so I can't put the lard. I have to stick with the grapeseed and the
I
coconut and
and
the olive,
Yeah,
you
I
know, the
know that because
avocado.
like I have to keep track of what I eat because if I start eating breads and stuff,
Uh-huh.
then my cholesterol is going to go through the roof because like but when I don't eat that, the lard keeps like I have really great high density
High in, okay.
lipoproteins and stuff, so like but my, but it's so it's really like I have a really good heart and stuff. So and cholesterol levels are perfect and all this kind of stuff. But I have to be careful because the minute I start to move towards carbs, my cholesterol is going to go through the roof because I eat everything with lard.
I understand that. Yeah, but but there's different ways we make the greens, and for holidays I do it the old traditional African American way. Yeah, you boil the hell out of it, but even when I'm boiling the hell out of it, I use chicken broth and seasoning. I don't put all
Mm.
the fat back meat in it. I don't do all that shit. I'm
Whoa,
serious. I had to change how I cook them. Now, when you eat them, you would swear I have all that stuff in them because I know how to season food. But
good.
yeah, so it depends on how I want to eat the green. I might want it sauteed, I might want it boiled. That's just like corn. I might want it grilled, I might want it boiled, I might want it taken off the cob. Now scrape it all off the cob and make it, so it depends on the way
Yeah,
we cook. It depends on well, for me now it doesn't depend on how I cook it. It depends on what my body is telling me I need
that's
for that
right. Yep,
occasion. It
yep.
may say saute it today, it may say boil it, it may say, and that's what I follow, because when I don't follow that I end up having feeling some type of way physically throughout the day. So my thing is
Mm-hmm.
I follow intuition whenever I eat. Like right now, I'm not sure what I'm gonna go in there and eat for breakfast, but I'm up and ready to take my walk. I'm putting all the things together, but I haven't eaten yet, so I haven't left yet because I haven't figured out what does my body need today.
That's right. That's right.
you know.
No, that's beautiful. I'm glad that you do that because like we all need to take time to ask like what am I going to eat? Not just open the fridge say what is there to eat.
Oh man, it's cause if I said that, man, I can have some lobster, I can have some shrimp, I got steak, I got chicken, I got pork, I got halibut, I got cod, I got red snapper. Okay, the food is in there, but my body needs certain things at certain times, so I keep a variety. And I ask my body what I need. What it said I needed this morning was a hot cup of tea, so
Hot
that's
cup
what
of
I'm
tea.
drinking.
Yeah.
Okay, now I may say go get a piece of toast. And I don't, and then and so it's kind of like I ebb and flow. And sometimes it says, like I said, I was the one that said I want to go to vegetables. See how that turned out for my ass, okay? Literally. So I can't go. I could not go cold turkey all the way to vegetables because my body did not want that like that. And
Yeah.
so now I'm asking my body, how do you want me to do it? Because
Yeah.
but I've been following this all the time, so I don't have 48 diseases in my body anymore. Okay,
That's right.
I don't have any disease in my body anymore because I follow what my body said. Eat this, don't eat that, and sometimes it'll tell me, go ahead, have a piece of chocolate cake, and I
Yeah.
can't eat sugar. I can't even eat sugar because I eat sugar and I get drunk.
No, I'm telling you. Yeah. Oh
I
man.
literally get drunk. I feel like, oh whoa, what the hell,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm really not a real drinker. I mean, I
Yeah.
drink occasionally and all that kind. So when I have sugar, if it's too much, I gotta lay my ass down and I can't function. But every now and then, my body will say, "Go get a piece of cake." So it's in the freezer. You know what I'm saying? It's like
Yeah.
I make sure I don't never want to be in a situation where I'm clamoring to say I got to have this and I just gobble up everything. So even when I leave the house, I take a lunch with me. I take a bag of snack. I got my nuts. I got my fruit. I got a half a sandwich or whatever. But I don't leave house with unarmed because my thing is I can't eat all that shit out there. Okay, you know me really. I mean, if
Yeah.
I want diseases back in my body, oh yeah, I will eat everything out there,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't want no more disease in my body. So I can't control where they get their food from, how they season it, what they putting on it, how they cooking it, are they mixing it with grain when they cooking it and they store it. I can't take that. I call it, that's what you got, Russian roulette. I can't play Russian roulette
Yeah.
with my body anymore. So I
No.
have to make sure I take my food with me, and then there's certain restaurants that I have an app that tells me what's gluten free, what's vegan, what's
Oh,
and
good.
so and then I get there and then I get the chef out and then I talk to the chef too because I can't play Russian roulette with my body because when I do that, California, I had something that was cross contaminated. Fucked my ass up. I'm excuse my language, but it fucked me
Awesome.
up, and the swell is still on and it's still going down. That's why I'm finally feeling well enough to get up and walk
No, well
outside.
then you got to do it.
And I got to do it because I needed to finish going through. It's almost through, but I needed to finish. But if your knees hurt and all thing hurt because you got that shit in you, can't do nothing. So
That's
my
right.
thing is take your food with you, okay? Make your food ahead, prepare, start. Don't wait till dinner time to figure out what to cook for dinner.
That's
That's why
right.
she doing that now because she saw me all last week. I pre-cooked every goddamn thing when I was in California because I know I don't have as many choices. At least I don't know where everything is
Right.
anymore.
It's just not your regular routine.
Yeah. So yeah. But anyway, we didn't talk to.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Give me
you
a
take
number.
your greens anyway. Number this is sitting in front of me. 51, 51.
51. 51. Here we go to 51.
Because I didn't have.
Tao is the source of all living things, and they are nourished by Tao power. They are influenced by other living things around them, and they are shaped by their circumstances. Everything respects Tao and honors its power. That's just the way it is. Tao gives life to all things, and its power watches out for them, cares for them, helps them grow, protects them, and comforts them. Create something without holding on to it. Do the work without expecting credit for it. Lead people without giving them orders. That's the secret of the power of the Tao.
Love it, love it, love it. Oh my Jesus! See, I love the dial. You know what? When I'm back in alignment, the dial talks to me real good because it's you're in the right target. You're in the right zone.
Yeah.
But let's decipher it line by line.
Yeah. The Tao is the source of all living things, and they are nourished by Tao's power.
Okay, the essence of who we are is pure love, light, energy, and energy is found in everything. This TV, this dresser, this
Mhm.
dog, this dog harness, this barter, this water bottle, this
That's right.
plastic cup. Energy is in everything. Okay.
They are influenced by the other living things around them, and they're shaped by their circumstances.
And your vibration, your energy has a vibration and a resonance that draws shit to you in your environment. Okay. And the thing is that you can't not want, oh, I don't want that to happen to me. But if it's in your vibration field, if you're vibrating low, you got some stuff that's going to come with it. And if you're vibrating high, you got stuff that come with it. So wherever your energy is flowing, that's what you're going to get coming to you. And if you're in an environment where you're high energy, you're high energy and you're in an environment where there's low energy, eventually that low energy shit is going to start affecting your high energy.
You know, that's a beautiful way of putting it, because here when we talk about this, what we're saying is like, not only are you influenced by those things around you, you're shaped by their circumstances. And I can't help but think back to my when I was younger. I was
Hmm.
influenced by the things around me. So I was living under the influence of other things, other
Hmm.
people, and I didn't like who I was. And then I was shaped by the circumstances which I was going, which turned me into an addict, right? And
Okay.
then I started to be influenced by other individuals. That 19, someone showed me a bit of respect. Then all of a sudden, I realized that, wait a minute, I am being influenced by someone who respects me as well. Now, 7 years later, after that moment when I was 26, I finally started a journey of recovery. And that then shaped who I was. And then I filled myself with other living things and was influenced by other living things around me that were showing me more respect. And then once again, I was shaped by those circumstances.
Amen. Yep.
Everything respects Tao and honors its power. That's just the way it is. Just like the story I just told, and your references as well. Tao gives life to all things, and its power watches out for them, cares for them, helps them grow, protects them, and comforts them. And I think that's why they say it's all going to be okay in the end. Just
Yeah,
be
because
here now.
we all have a life cycles, from the people to the trees to the animals to the birds. Everything has a life cycle, and the birds are out there. They don't have to go to the grocery store and buy food. They don't have to do nothing. They don't have to. They just get to fly and sing their little songs and stuff. They're not trying to be a tree. They're not trying to be a dog. They're just being, and all their needs are supplied.
Yeah,
And the thing is that we are beings as well. And yeah, there may be a store we need to go to, but the thing is that we all our needs are supplied in the moment right now. Right now, I have no fucking need in the world when I'm sitting here on this bed. In
that's
this
right.
moment, I have every fucking thing I need. I
That's
don't have
right.
to go running, do this, do that. Now, in the next moment, I may say, well, I need this, and then I can go and pick it up or whatever. But I know that I haven't worked in a very long time because of the illnesses and that and other, and I haven't gotten Social Security. But because God takes care of his people, and I've taken care of people all my life, my shit is done. And I don't get no money from no people. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
It's kind of like I got my own little thing going, and God has supplied me, and I have everything, even though I'm not out there toiling. I'm not, because I don't want to work hard anymore. I work since I started working when I was 13 years
Fuck
old.
that. Yeah, you and me both.
Okay, 13 years old, man. I don't want to work hard anymore. I want to work smart if I have to work at all. And so my
That's right.
thing is developing things where I don't have to worry about anything. And God
Yeah,
has helped me set up things where I don't have to worry about anything. And I'm
that's
very,
right.
very grateful. And I'm
Yeah,
very grateful,
it's just to be here, be me, and know
Yes.
that that Tao is giving me life, and is
Yes.
and the power is watching out for me, and that He's caring for me, and that it's helping me grow and protecting me and comforting me.
Yes.
And then,
Yes.
this allows me to create something without holding on to it. I've spoken about the idea that, like,
Yes.
who knows what's going to happen with Tao of the Day when I come back from the dark retreat. It might go away. I can't say, I can't tell the future,
Right.
but my guess is I'm going to come back and keep doing it. But I'm just like saying, like, I always have, everything is on the chopping block at any moment.
Yes. And
I
that's what
want to
people
create
and
things
that's hard for people to understand too, Martin, when when we flow like that. Because it's like you don't care about shit. How come you don't care? How come you don't care about that on the TV? How come you don't care about the it's not that I don't care. It's just that
That's right.
I choose to put my focus elsewhere. Okay,
That's right.
that's not gonna pay my bills. That's not gonna put no food in my mouth. That's all that's gonna do is fuck with my vibration. So why the hell? Okay? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, no, I don't think so. So I don't. We know we all things are needful and all things are useful. Okay,
Yeah,
there's a use for the TV. There's a use for whatever. But my thing is, everything is not needful and useful for me.
that's right.
Okay, I can't some shit I can't put in me and think I'm gonna be healthy.
That's
Okay, I'm
right.
gonna be real. There's some things I can't
Twinkies are fine
watch.
that they're in the world, but not that they're in my body.
But man, okay, again, the snow looks beautiful on TV and in the mountains and the people skiing down it. I love the idea of the snow, but that shit can kiss my ass. I lived in it.
I'm in
So,
Chicago, so you know I got some
woo, yes,
snow
I
in my
do.
background.
I was in Missouri, okay, and so you know
uh,
how miserable that shit is.
yeah, that
So
gets
no,
that
I
wind
did
picks
that
up.
already. But yeah,
Oh man.
I
So
loved
do
it.
the work without expecting credit for it. Lead people without giving them orders. That's the secret of the power of the Tao.
That's right. You give people choices. You don't give them orders. I never
Gone.
gave my kids orders, and they all, well, mom, you made me. I ain't make you do nothing. I gave you choices, and you chose it. You chose what you chose because you didn't want the consequences.
That's
But
right.
I didn't
That's
make you.
right.
I didn't
That's
make
right.
you. But thank you, Martin.
Oh, love you, Lois. Have a wonderful weekend. We're bringing on Dr. Goodman. That was 51 for Lois. Dr. Goodman, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great. That was a great reading. I'm going with 61.
61. Oh, we're just going to go down 10 chapters here. We're going to move into 61. Power flows down to every level of existence like a river to the ocean. Victory comes from lying perfectly still and waiting for power to come to you. If you yield to someone less powerful than you, you will be in a position to influence them. If you submit to someone more powerful than you create an opportunity to get your own way. So, if you want to get ahead, lay low and bide your time. That way, everybody's happy.
Wow.
So, what's going on in your life these days, Doctor?
Man, just getting back out there, and really feeling that power that I do have, and I want to share it. I just don't want to hold it in anymore, and truthfully, I never did want to hold it in because it was just exciting to me to learn it, and then relearn it, and that on the basis of me being dyslexic, and just challenging it each time. Do I really remember? Do I really know it? Do I really understand it? And so these three challenge goes through my mind over and over. So it's just more like me succeeding, challenging myself each time. So the power I have within myself, just keep flowing out.
Yeah, so let's look at this. Power flows down to every level of existence like a river to the ocean.
Yeah.
Power flows down. So power is coming in. And that's the this whole verse really talks about patience and talks about yielding. As we talk about the feminine, this is such a beautiful way of understanding like the power will come to you, and that power is yielding, is submitting. Power flows down. Like if you want to have the advantage position, you want to be up high, right? You want to be on the top of the hill because coming up the hill is going to be the challenge. Power
Mm.
flows down, but it flows down to every level of existence like a river to the ocean. Victory comes from lying perfectly still and waiting for power to come your way. This moves back to our buddy Catherine and her concept of intuition and being able to sit still and be present with what is.
Mm. Okay. I heard a little bit of Catherine's. That's right. Yeah, I mean, see, it's like when I was standing in front of that waterfall, it was just flowing, and I just kept hearing your journey have just begun, you
Yeah.
know, and the water was just flowing out, and I know it was flowing out into the Pacific Ocean, you
Yeah.
know, what is going to create, along the way. Because I mean, there's the grass, the flowers, the trees, you know, uh, the opportunity that grows from the darkness. Okay.
Yeah, victory and opportunity come from lying perfectly still and waiting for power to come your way. If you yield to someone less powerful than yourself, you will be in a position to influence them. What do you think there?
Less powerful than I am, and I will be able to influence them. Yes. Well, what I get there is that being willing to communicate and to share my knowledge. And so if you want it, it's like my grandmother said, I do anything I can for you, but you have to ask me. So that's what I think of that.
Oh, that's interesting, because if you yield to someone less powerful than you, so if you go to your mom and she yields to you, she has the power to influence you. That's interesting. I do like that, because then all of a sudden, like, okay, all you have to do is ask me. And when you ask me, I say yes, but now she may have the power to influence you in terms of being like, I did that thing for you. Like, yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
it's
but
time not to be. It's time to. It's time to go get me something. It's time to go get me my slippers. Like, what's up?
yeah, yeah, and that will come automatic. You do
Yeah,
something,
absolutely.
mom do something for you, and you see her sitting there and pulled off her shoes. Yes, go get her
Yeah, now
slippers.
you just do it. You don't even
Yeah,
ask, and that's an
that's right.
influence. Yeah,
That's right. Yeah,
and if
because
you
she influenced.
submit, to someone more powerful than yourself, you create an opportunity to get your own way. Now, this one escapes me a little bit. What are your thoughts? If you
My
submit to someone more powerful than yourself, you create an opportunity to get your own way.
So if you look at my parents, at the parents are growing up in their house, and they teaching you, and eventually you're gonna go your own way,
Mm,
and they don't train you to do just that.
yeah. So you submit to their lessons.
That's right.
You submit to someone more powerful than you. So you submit. Like, even if you submit to your boss, like you submit to the people around you, and you learn, and you stay humble, then
Hmm.
you, through that humbleness, will increase your power and maybe ultimately be more powerful than that person, right? Like, if you're manager, well, then maybe you'll get to be manager, then maybe you'll be end up being that manager's manager at some point,
Right.
because you know how to submit and yield.
That's right. The courses is for the teachers, so you get to learn and grow from that. And that's what my mentor will always say. The courses is for the teachers. We
Yeah,
go and teach the courses, but we also get to learn, from
yeah,
people. So, yes, they are. We are more powerful than them, but we get to grow as well as they are. Get to grow.
right. And that's where when the teacher yields to someone less powerful than them, they will be in a space to influence them. So the teacher, when they yield to their students, they will be able to influence their students. But if they never yield to their students might not ever allow themselves to be influenced very heavily by that teacher.
That's right, because they'll give up a negative viewpoint, and
Right,
that's what they hold. you know. So regardless of what people might be saying to them, if you're not being acknowledged, then your viewpoint just goes away. They just, you know, they don't hear it. They're thinking of
right.
something else, but they're looking at you. So
And then we wrap this one up with, so if you want to get ahead, lay low and bide your time. That way everybody's happy.
lay low and buy your time.
Bide your time. Yeah, just wait. lay low,
Wait.
keep your head down, go about your business, and don't try and do, bide your time. It just means that, you're just waiting it out.
Mhm.
That way everybody's happy. I look at that and I see, like, so if you want to get ahead, keep your head down. Keep your head down if you want to get ahead, because the moment you pick your head up, you're a target. The moment you say, I'm getting better, I'm getting better, I'm getting better, then other people that are better than you are going to make sure that you stay down.
Mhm.
If you want to get ahead, lay low and bide your time. Just wait for the moment, wait for the moment. And then at that right moment, everybody is going to support you, because you will yield to those less powerful than you, and you will submit to those more powerful than you along the journey. And then you'll get support from those that are more powerful than you, and you will have the respect and you will have influence over those that are less powerful than you. So lay low, bide your time. That way, everybody's happy. And when you do come to a place of power, no one's trying to get your head.
That's right. Because you've not been, like you said, if you look up, they're gonna want to put you up there on that palister to pull you down.
Mm-hmm.
But if you maintain your support and what it is that you are doing, then you can help others. No.
Right. And I think these two verses of submit and yield, right? So if you yield to less powerful than you, those less powerful than you can influence them. So as you get into a place of influence, you're already influencing all these people that are less powerful than you. So you have people, behind you that are supporting you because you influence them. And if you submit to power, to those in front of you, you create an opportunity to eventually get your own way. And so those people that are in front of you, the people that are ahead of you, also respect you and want you to do well. And so you start moving ahead of line. And then eventually you have power. Why? Because power flows down to every level of existence, like a river to the ocean.
Okay. Because I mean, like my uncle will always come over and say a penny for your thought. But I know this man had 5 acres, horses, a farm. You know,
Yeah.
so that was, but he still wanted me to do better. You
Right.
know, so it just
You
keep
know, I
going.
like, like every time I hear that phrase, a penny for your thoughts, the thing that I always say is, I was just thinking about how cheap you are.
Yeah, but
that's my initial reaction to that every time. I was just thinking about how cheap you are.
yeah, but you just think about how many pennies you done got for your thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so and that really adds up. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So if yes, when I've first heard it, that it didn't really I didn't really think of nothing. Uh, but after he just kept saying it to me, and I had to uh, keep telling him what it was that I was thinking, and a lot of times I was thinking about different things, because he was always saying, you know, do it, follow your thoughts, and I was even one point thinking about being a airplane pilot. Like, no, I don't that. But I wouldn't, it was too many of them planes falling out the sky. That changed my mind, and so, but in a case, it was like that. It just keep going forward, and so that's what I did, you know,
Yeah.
you know.
And that's what we do. Thank
Yeah.
you so much, Doctor. I appreciate you coming on. Always beautiful to connect, and we will connect again soon.
Oh yes, and thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Okay. Well, here we are at it's almost noon here in the Chicagoland region, and I'm starting to get a little hungry. So I'm going to need to cook something. So I'm going to step away. I wanted to invite anybody that it benefits from the Tao Te Ching and benefits from the Tao of the day that I produce. I would love if you guys would consider giving a tip or something through Venmo at Martin John _ Garcia. That's the @ sign, or in Spanish, arroba. Martin John _ Garcia, MartinJon _ Garcia. If you are interested in that, you can reach out to me on Instagram as well, and I can send you a link. Other than that, I host the Recover Yourself podcast. I also take on a limited number of one-on-one clients every month. The Tao of the day is going to take a 2-week break in a couple days. So starting next week, I'll probably do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I may come through with a Thursday. Once I get my positive COVID test, I'm going to be doing a Q&A for my dark retreat. So keep an eye out for that. Sundays, I get together with Paul Pedmore, and we talk about failure, and we talk about all sorts of things that revolve around growth, especially as it relates to growth and resilience and other things like that. So if anybody is interested in getting a link to the translations that I use, I would be happy to send them along. You just reach out to me once again on Instagram. There are so many things I have to say at the end of these. They're going to take me another half hour, but no, I'm going to wrap it up now. Once again, I'm Martin John, and until next time, keep recovering yourself.